Hey guys, just got back from New York and energy packed week. Obviously the market cap is not exactly where we thought it would be, and I'll do that summary, but the energy is absolutely explosive. If you like this channel and like what you've heard before, please click the subscribe button and also hit the thumbs up button. Let's get started. Okay, the first fun fact of the day. What is this? It looks like a lion in front of a temple. It's called Komainu. Komainu. It's a lion-like creature that is guarding the entrance or the inner shrine of many Japanese Shinto shrines. All right, something you need to know. Why is it pertinent? You'll see very, very soon. So this week's main event, of course, was Consensus in New York. It had Ethereal, it had Token Summit, but the main course was Consensus. And it was absolutely action-packed, jammed with a lot of energy. Why? Why? Because many people thought that this week there would be a huge bump, because historically crypto prices have gone up after the Consensus event. You look at 2015, where you had about 500 attendees, and during Consensus went up 23%, after Consensus 121% 2 months afterwards. And this trend continued on in 2016 and 2017, and many experts and pundits thought, hey, the same thing would occur on this event, because over 7,000 tickets were sold, and a lot of people didn't buy tickets, so probably 9,000–10,000 people showed up for events and parties and meetups all over New York. But what happened this week? It actually went down. The market went down. You're going, what the heck happened? Well, primarily, you never know what's going to happen in crypto, okay? But there are three factors. Specifically, Thomas Lee, co-founder of Fundstrat Global, what he said was that this week, primarily, we didn't get the bull run we're looking for after Consensus, this bump, because of three trifecta factors of progress. We didn't get it all. Number one, institutional custody and tools. We did get that. We'll talk about that in depth in a minute. Number two, buy-in from banks and investment managers. We continue to get great news about additional investment funds and banks getting into the space. And of course, they're not all going to jump in at one time. They're going to come in and test the market and buy and sell to make sure the transactions work and the custody works also. But number three, what he said is that we needed regulatory clarity. 2 weeks ago, I talked about how we had some FUD, okay, mea culpa, that Ethereum and SEC was going to declare possibly Ethereum a security. It didn't happen. It was a non-event. It was a closed door type event, and continuously, I'm sure SEC is looking at this factor. And of course, I also believe that United States and many other countries around the world, G20 countries, they don't want to hamper their ecosystem, crypto ecosystem, and strangle it pretty much, okay? So we haven't got regulatory clarity, and of course many pensions and investment managers are looking for clarity, which hopefully will come this year. So no bump this time, but that doesn't mean that the continuous improvement wasn't there. Absolutely was there, and it's, I believe, really inevitable that we'll get some clarity from G20 countries that will really progress us into the next bull run. More players, more big players are coming this week. What huge announcements? Goldman Sachs is coming in with a stable coin. Goldman Sachs backed a company called Circle, who purchased Poloniex, a huge exchange, earlier on this year. And they're going to introduce a crypto version of the US dollar. I'm sure you've used probably Tether before, or have you heard of another stable coin called Basis. It's critical that we have a really good, transparent stable coin in the marketplace, because as people go on and buy goods and services, let's say you're buying a bowl of ramen, right? What you don't want, especially from on both sides, so the buyer and the seller, is that you buy, one day you think it's going to take this amount of crypto, and then when you get to a ramen shop, and it escalates hugely, all right, maybe 2-3 times because of the volatility of most cryptocurrencies. That's why a stable coin is so critical. We have Tether, but it doesn't have transparency. It's not audited. I am sure when Goldman Sachs comes to play with Circle, it's going to have full transparency and auditing, which will allow a lot more adoption onto the platform. Jeremy, the CEO of Circle, is saying that already there are a number of banks that are very excited to implement the stable coin. In addition, Circle this week announced a $110 million investment round by Bitmain, which we all know is the most profitable crypto mining company in the world, bringing its valuation of Circle up to $3 billion. Another great thing about Circle is that Circle, one of the initial backers is Baidu, huge search engine giant in China. So what we're looking at is that the monolithic, okay, the most well-known investment bank in the world, Goldman Sachs, now they're really pushing into the marketplace with Circle. More big news. Mitsubishi Bank. It's the second biggest financial holding company of the world. It's coming to play. And it has $2.5 trillion under management, okay? Assets under management. Largest financial group in Japan. It's already declaring that 2019 it has a target of launching the MUFG coin. And the MUFG coin, and people are going to be able to buy sushi, food, Pokemon assets, whatever have you. But what is so critical is that this is the first major, hugely major bank on the planet to issue a variation on cryptocurrency. So important, and one of the reasons that it's by a Japanese bank because earlier on last year, of course, Japan has declared Bitcoin is fully usable, right? They have a lot more clarity than most of the G7, G20 countries. More big announcements. What you saw earlier about custody. What Thomas Lee was saying, custody. A lot of institutional players, they wanted to come in this arena, but they were saying, who's going to ensure custody? Who's going to hold this Bitcoin? Because these other institutional players, they got maybe billions or trillions of dollars on the assets in the stock market and the treasury market and the currency market. They're custodian banks that are insure their assets, and there really has not been very, very strong ones in cryptocurrency at this juncture. Sure, you can have an exchange hold your assets, but as we all know, many big-time exchanges have been hacked before, and many investment banks, they just cannot have that risk. So step on in. This week, Nomura is a huge financial institution in Japan with over $309 billion of assets under management. They're doing a joint venture with Ledger, and they're calling the venture Komainu. And what Komainu is going to do is it's going to be a best practices, okay? It's a best practices organization using Nomura's backing and Ledger's know-how, bank guaranteeing asset administration and fund management services. I'm telling you, I really believe this is a watershed moment because now more institutional players can come in and, I want to buy Bitcoin. I want to buy Ethereum. I want to buy some of these top 10 crypto assets for my clientele. And I know Nomura is a well-known name in the marketplace, and if they guarantee it, we're ready to come in. Okay? Huge watershed moment. Definitely stay attention to this organization. Now, there's some funny fake news that occurred in New York. Initially, some people were saying that there was an actual protest, and it was Bankers Against Bitcoin.org. They were right in front of the Hilton Consensus, protesting how things are so bad for them. And but it was backed by Genesis Mining, okay? And they got a lot of coverage. But at the same time, it may not be too far from the truth as we go on and progress in this marketplace. Why? Because cryptocurrencies is changing fintech, right? It's disintermediating banks and customers. Disintermediating, who gets to hold your assets. And eventually what that means is that a lot of bankers may lose their jobs, which is not a good thing. But it's coming. So that's why it's so imperative for you to get ahead of this thing, and participate in this cryptocurrency economy. While you're driving through New York, you get to see all these banks, and they're talking about their savings rate, and you're thinking, well, why are people going to leave the banks? This is one of the reasons. Like American Express National Bank, this is on the internet only. Okay, they pay 1.55% per year, and then if you look at the brick and mortar accounts like Chase is 0.01%, Wells Fargo in New York 0.01%. This is not financial advice. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, but you can tell why so many people are putting, a small percentage or a large percentage of their assets into cryptocurrency, because the marketplace overall has gone up a lot more than these numbers, right? So Jack Dorsey was at Consensus, and he was interviewed by Lightning Labs. And what he said is that he truly hopes that Bitcoin will be internet's native currency. Okay, Twitter CEO, also founder of Square, and we're talking about two multi-billion-dollar companies. And when you look at this industry, you have a lot of new people, but you also have a lot of very experienced current operators who are coming in this industry, and you really got to pay attention, because those are the entrepreneurs that have a lot of street cred and also have a lot of battle experience. They understand patterns. I want you to really start considering patterns, that regardless of what field of business that an entrepreneur endeavors in, the successful ones are able to recognize patterns. And this is what Jack Dorsey sees. But beyond that, he's actually putting a lot of currency into this play. So you see evident in Jack's seriousness of coming into cryptocurrency. Last year he hired Hillary Smith from Zenefits. I think paid a signing bonus like $8 million, and supposedly he was not happy with the pace of crypto adoption within Square, and so he let go of Hillary Smith and brought on another trusted lieutenant that has been hitting the cryptocurrency push within Square starting in January. And so when Jack Dorsey is seriously committed, this guy's built, as I said, built multi-billion-dollar companies before. He sees a pattern. What do you say? Next, Facebook blockchain. Facebook announced last week exploratory research formed with top-ranked members from both Messenger and Instagram. One of the things I guess that they see is that there's a lot of social media upstarts, whether it be Snap, where they had grabbed Instagram and then pretty much emulate a lot of the features of Snap to try to stop that growth. But one thing that they do see is Telegram, right? Telegram with 200 million users a month, they just did a $2 billion ICO. People who are in the know within cryptocurrency, we know a lot of us live on Telegram, right? We just absolutely live on Telegram. We definitely use Telegram more than any other social media platform. So one of the trusted lieutenants that he put on to spearhead this march is David Marcus. David Marcus is former head of Messenger. David Marcus is also former president of PayPal, so he knows about payments. And here's another interesting fact. David Marcus is actually a board member of Coinbase. How do you like them apples, huh? So you know that this guy understands cryptocurrency. He understands the urgency of how to figure out what the pluses and negatives are and what the play is going to be in Facebook. And maybe one day Facebook may buy Coinbase. Think about that. Amazon, also last week with AWS, what they did is they launched within the platform Kaleido blockchain platform. And what this will do is help AWS customers move faster and not worry having to manage their own blockchains, right, to get started. It's a private blockchain. Founder of Ethereum blockchain, Jason Lubin, says that it's a heavy-duty move for AWS. It's also a consensus solution. And here's the biggest thing. Steve Wozniak last week also said that Bitcoin You know this guy, right? He's a co-founder of Apple. Bitcoin and blockchain is the next major IT revolution. He believes also Ethereum can be as influential as Apple. He's an OG, all right? Think about all the fads and all the real IT revolutions that has occurred in the last 40 years. This guy has, had his pulse on all of this. And this is what I'm trying to say about patterns. There are very, very few Einsteins in the world, very few Satoshis, very few Vitaliks, right? But luckily, you don't have to be that gifted or that much of a genius. All you have to do is realize trends. And the best way to realize trends is start doing studies, start building out masterminds, and start paying attention to entrepreneurs who are absolutely super accomplished in the field and what they're so excited about. I'm going to give you another vantage point of why these events are so important, especially big ones like New York and Consensus. Think about this, man. If you're in this arena, I know most likely you spend more time on Telegram than any other social media atmosphere. You have more trust and more connections with all these strangers from all across the world that your significant other and family is going, you're crazy, you spend so much time with them, what's going on? I mean, if you brought them to New York, they'd probably go crazy because you barely see these people, but you spend all your time sending out all these pictures, you go through all these emotions of like huge green periods and then rock bottom red periods, and it's like depression. It's almost like war, metaphorically, okay? If you've gone through real wars, I give props out to you. But you get shell-shocked, you go through all these different type of emotions, and all you have connection points are the people in the middle of the battle with you, right? So it's almost like, the Band of Brothers without real bullets, okay? Without real bullets. And when you're able to connect with each other, consensus, you don't even see each other, and then you lock eyes for a second. It's like a bromance, like the ultimate role of bromance, where hundreds and hundreds of people connect, and then we absolutely share additional ideas. In addition, think about the Telegram experiences that you developed. In just the last half year to a year, we have more trust with these brothers. A couple of sisters, more sisters are coming online. We have more trust with each other and sending out more money to each other than we have with all our family. Think about that. And this is the connection point that we have with these consensus type events, and that's why it's so critical for you to join. I want to thank DNA for putting out the One Oak party with Snoop Dogg. There's so many parties. I mean, you go. I didn't go to that many parties when I was growing up, and you're going with these events sometimes 2 to 3 parties a night. I want to thank Bev and the Torque Group for the incredible party at Purple. I also want to give a special shout out to Andrew Lee and his partners Sandy and Julia for starting out Fission Capital. Guys, when you take a look at the roster of advisors and partners and backers of this project, it's incredible. I see it as being one of the super stellar successes for 2018 and beyond. They had an incredibly intimate venue at Thao, and the small group that I was able to connect with, just off the chain, off the chain. I want to thank Charles for putting up the After Consensus party. It was off the hook. And he actually brought a lot of girls. Okay, the majority of the party is all guys. You did a great job, Charles. Guys, if you like what you heard from this episode, definitely hit the subscribe button. Feel free to stalk me, okay? Hit the thumbs like, hit the social media links. Look forward to sharing some incredible projects on ICOs and other thoughts and breaking news within cryptocurrency with you very, very soon.